I would like to call the meeting to order. Morton Grove Public Library Board of Trustees, meeting May 10, 2012 at 7:01 p.m. If we could stand and recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Secretary Berg, if you could call the roll.
Trustee Elbers.
Here.
Trustee Berg here. Trustee Kelman.
Here.
Trustee Goldstein.
Here.
Trustee Hoffman.
Here.
And Trustee Peters. Here.
Fantastic. Approval of the minutes of the board meeting of April 12, 2012. Do I have a motion to
I have a question.
approve? Well, we need a motion to approve first.
How can you approve it if I have a question?
We have a motion to approve, then we second, then we discuss.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you motioning to approve?
I'll motion to approve.
Thank you. Can I have a second? Dave Kelly. Any questions or comments?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Committee appointments. I thought it was imperative that every trustee be on a committee. And I don't see Dan Hoffman on any committee. And since he's the most experienced trustee we have, and a former president, I can't understand that.
All right.
I also see many duplications. But anyway, I really would like to know why that is.
I did not select Trustee Hoffman for any of the positions.
Who does the selecting?
The president for the bylaws. And there's nothing in the bylaws that indicates that each trustee must serve in a committee.
Are you negating the value of a trustee by doing that?
No.
I think you are.
We're a board of many, and we can have many different opinions.
Well, that's what we're discussing. I'd like to know why.
I thought we were discussing the minutes.
We are. It's in the minutes, it's committee appointments.
We're discussing whether these minutes are accurate or not.
Yeah.
I'm questioning the committee appointments.
That would have been a topic for discussion in the previous meeting. Now we're discussing whether or not the minutes reflect what occurred in last month's meeting.
I have one other question then, and it's just a question. On staff reports, we received a quote of approximately $6,700 to repair badly cracked concrete. And yet, the Building and Grounds Committee was not part of that discussion. Why is that?
Do the building and grounds go out and request quotes, or do the directors do that?
The directors do it through the maintenance department. We didn't have, we only had the one quote at that point, and it wasn't on the agenda to be discussed last time, so.
But doesn't the trustees who are on that area, aren't they supposed to be involved in it?
That's maintenance.
While I was a member of the Building and Grounds Committee, I did talk on a couple of occasions to Claude regarding
You
that
should.
and to Kevin and Natalia.
Okay,
The question is why
can
this
we get
wasn't
back
done.
on the topic of approving the minutes,
Well, you're not answering any questions.
which should have been brought up at the previous meeting?
I'm just getting this now in this report. This was not in the last meeting per se. I just think we're entitled to know.
minutes document what was discussed at, the minutes document what was discussed at the last meeting, so there was a discussion at the last meeting.
I don't
Now
recall
is not
that.
the time to
I don't
ask
recall that
questions on.
discussion.
Well, now is not the time to ask questions. The motion that's before the board right now is whether or not to approve these minutes. And
I
so
do
the
not
discussion.
recall, I do not recall any discussion about that at the last meeting.
You can have that recollection.
I also had another question on the PMA financial investment that I brought up in the last meeting, and I was diverted, and my fellow trustee, Ms. Peters, said no one else has to be involved in that. I had requested in writing on our communications previous to that all board members should be made to understand the PMA report, particularly by the one who presents it, because every office is only held for 2 years. And it's only 1 more year that the present treasurer can have that position. So somebody else is going to have to do it, and since no one else knows what's going on, and I'm just sitting in on it and being rebuffed, I'd like to know what's going on, why that was done. I asked that question on our correspondence that we do on the internet, and I got absolutely no answers from anyone except Ms. Peters saying, she didn't answer that really, she answered it here, that she would take care of it and nothing else mattered.
That's not what I said.
What'd you say?
Your recollection is wrong. I said that 2 out of 3 of us decided to do it
There's
one way.
only 2 of us on the meeting. The
I'm
president sits
sorry.
in, but he does not have.
You are
a vote.
wrong about that, and with all due respect, you are wrong about that too. When a person is on, what is it called, de facto? Ex officio member. Right, ex officio only pertains to how they got on the committee. I will read it to you. An ex officio member is a member of a body, board, committee, or council who is part of it by virtue of holding another office. The term is Latin, meaning literally from the office, and the sense intended is by right of office. It dates back to the Roman Republic. A common misconception is that the participatory rights of ex officio members are limited by their status. This is incorrect. Although their rights may be limited by bylaws of a particular party, which ours is not. The term denotes only how one becomes a member of a group, not what one's rights are. It is a method of sitting on a committee, not a class of membership. Frequently, ex officio members will abstain from voting, but unless bylaws constrain their rights, they are afforded the same rights as other members, including debate, making formal motions, and voting. Our bylaws do not say that ex officio members are not entitled to a vote.
The president is the ex officio of every single
Exactly,
committee.
and they are entitled to vote.
But the committees have to be in place also. And I
All
was saying,
3 members of the committee were in place.
I don't
The
know.
vote was 2 to 1.
So let's go back to the question at hand. Are the minutes an accurate reflection?
Would our attorney respond to some of these questions, such as,
I'll be happy to
how
respond
does
to
a
the question.
trustee not become any?
I'll be happy to respond to the question that you had, Mr. Goldstein, or Trustee Goldstein, which was, you were concerned about the PMA report, and as I recall it, there was a discussion at the meeting about the PMA report, and it was resolved that every trustee would get that report, and that was in response to your question that you brought up last
No,
month.
that wasn't what I brought up.
Well, then
What I brought up
I guess
is
then I don't
that
understand what
the
you're talking about.
presentation should have been to all the board, is what I brought up.
Yeah, then I don't remember what you were talking about, but, so
That's what I was
then,
talking about.
okay, thank you. So then the next issue that you have before you is you've got a motion and you've got a second to approve the minutes, and the discussion is regarding the minutes.
The minutes are really not correct, because according to the minutes, trustee Peters said that it would be on number 11, and it's not, it's on number 10. And I still think you're wrong. I think it's imperative that those things be addressed to the entire board.
I'm sorry, what things are you talking about?
Things such as the PMA report.
Well, it says here, additional copies of the plan will be requested from PMA and distributed to the trustees. Did we distribute
Yes.
copies of them?
Yes,
So then they
I'm going back to
fulfill
the
your
original
request.
discussion.
everybody got the plan.
We're talking about last month's meeting, we're not talking,
Yes,
that was, right, and that was over and done with. The question is, are you asking
The
for
question
something?
is approving the minutes.
Right, and are you
I'm not
asking,
approving the minutes.
are you asking that something be added to the minutes?
I'm trying to make a statement that should be made in the minutes of today's meeting,
Which is,
which will be made. And I'm hopeful.
so we had a second, if there are no changes, all in favor of approving the minutes of April 12, 2012?
Can we take a roll?
Any no?
I think you should.
Let's take a roll vote. Trustee Byrd, yes. Trustee Kellogg,
Yes.
trustee Krenstein,
Conditional on the basis that if these, my statements now are to be resolved in the next meeting and should be shown in the minutes.
I'll take
Okay.
it. Okay.
Is that a no?
I'll take it.
Is it yes or no?
Trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Peters.
Yes.
It's not a joke. I'm sincere.
No, I'm sorry, all right, I'm just laughing because there's either a yes or no, there's not a conditional, that's all.
No, I-
I'm not sure you're right on
All right, and Albers, yes.
We have a five, we'll put it as 5-1.
All right, public comments on agenda items only. If none, President's report, very briefly, I was privileged to have been invited to a volunteer luncheon, and I was very much impressed by the number of volunteers, the amount of time and effort that they spend here. Just for your information, collectively, the volunteers contributed over 1,000 hours to the library over the last year, so pretty remarkable and very much appreciated. We have concluded accepting applications for filling the vacant trustee position, and that's something I hope to begin addressing next week with a plan to appoint somebody at the next board meeting. And that would conclude my president's report. Treasurer's report?
You've been supplied with the cash statements for this month, along with the income statements and the check register. We'll be discussing the and the ledger for the reserve. We will be discussing the resolution for the investment policy later on in this meeting. Does anyone have any questions about the cash statement, check register, or any of the documents that I have provided? If none, I'd like to submit this report.
If no questions or comments, can I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report? Motion to accept the report. Second?
Do we need to vote?
No, I just need a second.
All in favor?
We need a second.
We need to start, I thought you said.
You may second it, Joel.
I will also.
Thank you. I can call all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
accepted. Committee reports, finance, did we meet? Nothing there.
Finance committee met. My one report has already been accepted. The other report will be discussed later
Under new business?
under the investment policy.
All right. Director search committee is winding down, and there's a possibility by the end of tonight, we may be agreeing to appoint somebody to that position.
I have a question on that.
Yes.
Are these the only two applicants?
Those are the two that we would be discussing in executive session.
And there are no others?
Correct. No. We had many applicants and narrowed the field down to two highly qualified candidates. Per the bylaws in even number of years, we are required to, I guess, confirm officers. So being 2012 an even year. And how does that, we are, with less than 1 year served, the officers may serve another 2-year term.
They serve a full term.
Because they're-
Under the bylaws, if someone is filling a term for someone else, and that's for less than a year, the individuals may serve a full term.
I have a question then. Our board of directors, or the president and treasurer and secretary, well, not the present secretary, were the first day that they were elected. They were on the board, and they voted for themselves to be that. That's a full year. From the date they were elected,
What meeting were they installed in their offices? In the May meeting, right?
Yes,
And in April, and the term ran until April,
that's 11.
so it's 11 months.
wait a second.
So it's in the bylaw. So I bring this up so that
In the
the
bylaws,
board,
it says, originally the bylaws said that new people elected to the board would not serve in those capacities
It doesn't
until
say
after
that.
serving a year.
It doesn't say that.
it's,
That's always been
It doesn't say that, does it?
I'd have to look, to tell you the truth.
Well, I can tell you that it doesn't say that.
so in order for this board to comply with the bylaws, I'm bringing this forward and bringing it up to the board. The officers that are in these, the trustees in these offices presently may continue for another full term.
Exactly.
And the full term is,
For 2 years.
So on even number
So your term would
years,
expire April of 2014.
14. So on even number of years, the board resets itself.
You're playing games. You sure are. You're playing games.
Read the Bible.
What the bylaws say, Greg?
You're still playing games.
I run it for the rules,
Do you
and the
really?
bylaws are the rules.
Okay.
I make a motion to appoint President Mark Albers, Treasurer Kathy Peters, and Secretary Paul Dunn.
Can we have a second on that?
can we second our own?
Yes, yes, you can.
Then I'll second.
Are you second? No comments, questions? Then you want to call this one, Paul?
Yes, I will. Trustee Goldstein,
No.
trustee Hoffman,
No.
trustee Peters,
Yes.
trustee Elders,
Yes.
trustee Byrd, yes. Trustee Kellemack,
Yes.
Okay, thank
Vote
you.
reads
This-
4-2.
That passes. Staff reports, directors?
Our report will be short. There's several items that we'd like to have your vote on. I included under new business. I just want to say that the 2 AC units that were broken in March have been fixed, and we're just scheduling caulking of the Baxter Room AC unit. I have 2 staff announcements. Susan McGowan, a reference librarian, submitted a letter of retirement. Her last day is June 1st. And Caitlin Savage decided that she will leave the employment of the library and will be a stay-at-home mom. And it will be effective sometime in June. That will complete my report. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Nothing further from the directors? Anything from council?
Just a couple of items. You have before you the adoption of a non-resident library fee, and we prepared a resolution adopting that fee. And so that is the fee that would be charged to a non-resident in order to obtain privileges at the library. And then that fee is calculated based upon the taxing rate such that a non-resident would pay the equivalent of what a resident pays in their property taxes for the library. So that's before you for approval. A couple of other items. I did review the investment policy that you have before you this evening, and I only had one typo on that for Trustee Peters. Otherwise, I did not have any other change. I did not have any changes in that policy. Thank you.
Okay, we'll be looking at that, okay. Thank you, council. I had no unfinished business from our last meeting, so we can move into new business, which would be 11A, the approval of the Morro Grove Public Library investment policy. And that we have that in front of us, correct?
This policy was developed in concert with PMA. Ms. Rios, and with us every step of the way in taking what was basically a boilerplate policy and customizing it for the needs of the Morro Grove Library. I would like this policy adopted, except one little typo. The change is on page, what is it?
Page 1, Roman numeral 2, scope, in the second line of that provision.
Will be instead of will be. The W should be changed to a B. And up until now, the Morro Grove Library, even though their bylaws had called for it, there was never an investment policy for the library. And so it was necessary for us to put one in place. And this is what I have here for all of yours approval.
So council's reviewed this, they're good with it?
Yes.
Directors, you've looked at it, it seems fine. I know that the finance committee's taken a look at it, they seem to be in agreement with it. So with that said, can I have a motion to approve the Morro Grove Public Library investment policy?
I motion to approve the investment policy with PMA.
And can I have a second? Second. No further discussions. Paul, can you call the vote?
Mr. Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Peters?
Yes.
Trustee Elbers?
Yes.
Trustee Byrd, yes. Trustee Kellerman?
Yes.
Trustee Goldstein?
Yes.
Great, policy. 11B, the adoption of a non-resident library fee. My understanding, this isn't something new, it's an update.
Right, and just to add on to what Frank said, this is only for people who don't have a card from another library. If you have a card, that's usable here. This is just people who are in areas that aren't served by any community library.
Do we
As I
have-
said, what I wrote, we haven't had one of these in many years.
Do we have many people? We
So,
just have to have a policy.
zero, right.
So right now, no library card, no library books are taken out. So now they can purchase a library card and take books out.
Right.
How much is the fee?
And it's going up a fair amount, simply because it hasn't been changed in quite a few years.
All right, can I have a motion to approve or adopt a non-resident library fee policy?
We just did.
And we should, the motion should be to adopt resolution number 2012-2, resolution to adopt a non-resident library fee. So your motion?
So can I have a read the top of page 2? Motion.
I will-
Motion to.
I will motion to approve the non-resident library fee resolution 2012-2.
I'll second.
And a second by trustee Goldstein. Any further discussions, comments? If none, could you call the vote?
Trustee Peters,
Yes.
trustee Elbers,
Yes.
trustee Byrd, yes, trustee Caliban,
Yes.
trustee Goldstein,
Yes.
trustee Hoffman.
Yes.
Great. 11C, new business, the approval of a bid for parking lot repair.
Which is covering three things, which are described on this sheet with the picture that you had in your packets. The quotes aren't necessarily divided up the same way, so can't necessarily make a one-to-one comparison, but it covers repairing, break up and repaving with concrete one space out there on the east side that's cracked badly. Multiple spots along the back of the building, every place where asphalt meets concrete, none of those are even. Not big enough to be a step, just 2 or 3 inches enough to trip over. And then an asphalt pad for the bike racks on the west side, as shown in the drawing there. We had asked the contractors for 2 different sizes, a 10 by 12 foot, which would accommodate one of the silver racks that's in the back now, and a 10 by 15 pad, which would accommodate that rack, plus the one that used to be out in front. 2 of the 3 just quoted the larger size, so it wouldn't be any difference. So you had two quotes in your packet. Third one just came today, so that was in the extra folder that we had. And there's quite a range on prices, from $3,500 up to just under $10,000. That's for all 3. Jacobs, which is the most expensive one, that is the company that Claude has used before and been very pleased with. The other 2 he has not used before, but got their names from people he knows, so, presumably a good recommendation. We were both a little bit concerned about the line allowance because it's so low, wondering if, works good quality or if it's a stamp on something or whatever. He also pointed out that their address is only a post office box, not an actual street address.
It's a red flag.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty typical for a business where somebody works out of their house
Yeah.
to use a P.O. box to remain somewhat
Right.
safe or confidential.
Well, and also if they don't have an office, a street front office,
Yeah.
and are working outside of their homes, it's not necessarily anything shady. It's just usually a very small operation.
Now, we've had discussions in the past about the next time the property was being restriped, about turning the stripes the opposite way that they are. So basically reversing the flow of traffic around our building to eliminate as much traffic as possible from the east doors.
Also, it's
So
a
that's-
safety
so
measure.
that would be-
Reversing these stripes.
And the ones in the back, so you would pull in off of Georgiana down the alley, that would be the entrance into, it would put more people back into the parking lot instead of everyone driving through this little alley over there.
And it would be a one-way out.
It'd be a one-way out and, basically eventually save the life of someone.
Probably be a lot
Killed,
safer.
like that.
That's the
A lot
purpose of it.
safer.
It's a
So-
safety measure.
So this would be the time to discuss that, and if we wanted to do that, so
Right.
much restriping, and it would, to call it a village, because I'm sure a couple signs would be needed, just to direct people, and people would be used to that for a while. But, bring that up.
I mean, sure, it wouldn't affect the cost, it's,
Yeah,
actually, the stripes are points.
you can't play
Yeah.
it.
Right, they definitely would,
But we couldn't do the work then until we had the clearance from the village.
yeah.
Well, we couldn't do the restriping. We could get the pothole thing fixed. We could get the pad laid down.
Yes, these quotes, and at least two of them say they are contingent upon everything being done in one day, which would not be the case. I have to think it's not going to be too excessive an additional charge if we do everything but the striping, because they all, at least one of them does have to be done by the end of May.
I'm sure you could call
Yeah.
Public Works tomorrow, and just tell them
Right.
that's our plan, and this is why
Yeah.
we want to do that.
Yeah.
And unless, basically a couple do not enter signs would be,
So we'd have to
yeah,
contribute.
and an entrance sign, and then go pointing toward the street.
I'm sure they could expedite, but I suppose this would be the time to see if everybody is on board with reversing those stripes for safety reasons, as trustee Hoffman says.
Stop signs. Which stop signs? The one by the door? Yeah.
There would have to be a stop sign going out,
Right. Well,
and,
there's a stop sign on the overhang of the door, so that people are stopping at the door. Which
So it's going the other
in
side.
addition to what you said,
Right.
stop sign out there.
there would have to
Heading
be,
straight.
The village probably needs to come see and
yeah,
send an engineer.
yeah, that one, the one that's on the door of the frame of the library would have to be
Right.
switched.
Right.
And then we'd need one at the end. We'd also need
At the end.
signage saying that way. And then we would also say, enter library, we'd need a sign saying library entrance off Georgiana.
Right.
We have a comment in the audience.
Dare you ask a question? Okay.
Actually, I just didn't want the book drop to fall off the discussion.
It has to be moved.
Yeah,
If the flow goes this way, the book truck has to be on the other
And-
side.
Well,
That
and
may
that's St.
be-
Martha's.
Yeah, right?
Which we couldn't do,
No.
we can't put it in their lot.
That's right.
No, but would,
It will be under direction of traffic.
That whole discussion of reversing the flow may need to go before the building and grounds committee.
yeah.
Because this is the first I've heard of that. It's a novel idea and probably
We've
a
discussed
good
it
one.
before.
Right.
Well, we haven't discussed it
No, I
before, but I've been in meetings where.
moving the book drop to this side, so people coming through,
Yeah,
drop them
maybe.
on the way out,
Maybe?
would be easier. I mean, you're gonna pick up
Yeah.
the half motorcycle space, because things will be turned around.
The only,
People won't have-
the only concern with that would be, the walkway along there is just a line on the ground. There's no sidewalk. And if the drops take up that full width, then people have to walk out into the actual path of traffic to go around them.
Well, it actually go
No,
over on the
couldn't
other
the
side.
drop be
Oh,
in
right. Oh,
the
I see.
dead
Yeah,
space? The
yeah.
drops would be in the dead space
Right.
by the restriping.
Yeah. Perhaps, yeah.
But maybe we have to take a look at that.
We probably do.
How
Because-
critical is it that this concrete problem be taken care of this month, or could we study that this month and do it? Or would you want us to go ahead and do all that and not do the restriping? and we can measure, we have to actually get out and measure the size of the book drop and measure
Right.
what would happen and talk to the village. But I agree that it would be safer to have it the one way going that way.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, right, yeah, I think our recommendation would be to go ahead and do all the work except the striping, and assuming maybe we'll pay a couple $100 more if they're gonna have to come out separately.
You're gonna have to do your seal coat and your striping separately.
Right.
If you seal coat, you're gonna be without stripes until you figure out.
Yes.
So you could repair the holes, you could build the pads,
Everything but the silver.
but then your seal coat and your striping would have to be a separate event after we decide.
So still two trips and probably some extra charge.
Yeah.
But we'll get the others done. You know, another issue with the with the drops. They've been in a couple different locations on the back side until we found a way that we put them next to the telephone pole to protect them, basically. And out here, they might be rather vulnerable. We have to see if they can put it someplace
You
where
might
we
have to put a crash post in front of them,
Yeah,
but we have to get out there and measure it.
yeah.
There is an issue, there's a water plane out here, that's why it's sinking. So they will have your concrete people discovered that? The first time we put this concrete out here, it went down. We had to redo it because there's a water plane under there, so they have to look into that. And that could be the reason why this one spot is sinking so badly.
Perhaps.
Claude aware of that?
Pardon me?
Is Claude aware?
I suspect he is.
He wasn't here at the time,
No,
so
but
I don't know if he knows.
Right.
There was a building there before, and maybe that's what caused it, I don't know.
We have a couple issues. You gotta repair the hole. You gotta put up a bike pad. If you wanna consider reversing traffic, that seal coating and striping is gonna be a separate.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it.
Can we conditionally approve this?
I think we have to talk to the contractors.
Yeah. I would think we could move forward in putting the bikes, or do that bike pad. I don't know if they can split this job up and do the bike pad.
Well, they can, I think it's just gonna cost a little.
Okay. Yeah.
But what we can do, I mean, everything except the seal coating and striping. The pad, the repairs on the back and the repairs on the side.
Would we be comfortable with that?
I think we'd be comfortable with that in the fact that if we expedite this, let's say tomorrow, by the time they come out, which may be sometime next week, we might be able to confer with the village to make sure we can redo the direction. That gives us, by the time they come out, certainly a week's time.
Perhaps have no idea how soon the village might be able to move on something like that.
I have no idea
Want an
either.
engineering study or something for the
Yeah,
traffic.
who knows what kind
Who
of
knows?
study they want.
Yeah, I mean, Claude did confirm that no permits are necessary for this work, but that obviously didn't include.
No, it will change the direction.
But I don't know what the village would do about having traffic now exiting from Lincoln, from where now it's going in onto Lincoln Avenue from where it was, I don't know. Because there's cars parked there, don't know what the sight lines are, don't know what the traffic, it might not be very simple.
It should be checked into.
Right, yeah.
There are cars that are parked all the way up to that.
Yeah, so you have one
Right.
spot.
Yeah, it's blind.
They may say blanket
Yeah.
no.
That might even be more problems than we have now, I don't know. But it is not good
Yeah.
having it running in that direction. But we gotta see what the city says.
Yeah. So
Let's do that.
I would say let's do that. Do you have a suggestion as to which, do you have a recommendation on the contractor? Because I'm looking at if I've got the numbers right, there's roughly $3,500, $9,800, or $6,600. That's a big swing.
Yeah.
It is.
And because the guy has a P.O. box, and I can save $3,000, I kind of lean that way.
I do too,
But-
if we get a recommendation, if we can get.
So if he's legitimate, and he
Yeah.
has insurance, and he's got references, that's a very big swing.
Where did we get his name from?
Claude
Claude.
said he got references from others who've used it.
Yeah, if he's bonded and insured, I like him too.
Go for it. Is that a Lake County?
Just that the business video of those first two, and there was nothing there. And
Yeah.
And the business, there were no claims against,
Yeah, I mean, all things being equal, they're contractors, they're insured, licensed, bonded, have references, and one guy is 1/3 or 1/2 the price of the others.
Do you know if they all bid separately for the items, would they allow you to just pick and choose items?
Well, Jacobs did do it that way.
I mean, Lime-A-Lot's got 3 different,
Yeah, they've got different options.
well, I don't know if they're
Well,
separate
actually,
options or.
if you take out number
Oh,
one
right.
and just do 2 and 3, we would
Right.
ask Lime-A-Lot to do 2 and 3 and just not do 1.
Right.
Which brings Lionel down to,
$900 less, $2,500. And they could put in a 10-by-12 bike pad, and they can fix the hole.
The fixing of the asphalt, how much will that affect your stripe? It'll affect your striping a little bit, but the stripes will still be pretty visible. It just won't be 100% visible. I mean, they just won't.
Well, this is just a
Just in
few
the spot.
inches
yeah.
Yeah.
where concrete meets asphalt, that it would be.
So I mean,
No
it's
impact.
going to be clear where you're going to pull in and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the last lot too, isn't it? I mean, it's the last spot,
Well, the concrete repairs are the last spot
Yeah.
over here,
right?
but the repairs I think Frank was talking about are the ones along the back of the building,
Right.
which is, I mean, we're 3 feet from the building, where concrete meets
Okay.
asphalt, so it maybe covers a couple inches of a line. It won't be an issue at all.
Well, can I move that we accept the Lime-A-Lot bid for numbers 2 and 3?
I don't think we should do it tonight. I think we should.
Well, they need the hole fixed.
I think we have 2 issues here, and one is the restriping and the redirection of the traffic, and the other is just the maintenance and repair, so fix the hole and get the bike rack going. So I think Kathy's leaning towards, let's fix the hole, let's get the bike rack, let's consult with the village, and then determine whether or not we should be rerouting traffic and get their thoughts on it.
Excuse me, are you aware that the village made the alley by CVS go east only, and it took them forever to okay that?
Actually, they reversed it,
It goes east only.
not anymore.
They changed that one.
I live there,
The
that's
second-
my alley.
The second half goes west.
Yeah, that's my alley.
Whatever, but it took them a long time to determine, so I don't think they're gonna
I
do that.
I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
on the
I'm
wrong
motion,
side, yes.
you know what, guys? You know what?
Let's do this.
Can we kind of follow the rules?
So we've
It
got-
really isn't a
You've got,
group discussion
Right.
here. It's supposed to be a board meeting.
correct, so you did line a lot.
Yes,
So we have a
move
motion
that we
to
do
accept.
I will
accept
second,
Lime-A-Lot 1 and 2, yes,
I will second that.
with the 10-by-12.
2 and 3.
I'm sorry, 2 and 3, 2 and 3, sorry. Lime-A-Lot 2 and 3 with 10-by-12 bike pad.
They were saying 10 by 15.
Well, up to it says, and I'm saying 10-by-12.
Okay, well, then we need to know, what size we're doing. Are we putting the bike rack from the front back out?
Right.
We have a 10,
That's why I'm saying 10 by 12.
you're looking at what's the building can be done up to 10 by 15.
Right.
Might as well take advantage of the up to sign. So what do you want, 10 by 12?
We need to know whether we're putting the bike rack that was in the front back out or not.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying 10 by 12.
I understand.
So we've
That's my
got
motion.
line a lot options 2 and 3. We'll be spending $2,550 with that. So we have a motion for that. We have a second.
Excuse me, before I was going to second it, no, we're discussing 10 by 12 versus 10 by 15. Why aren't we going 10 by 15 as long as it's the same price?
Because 10 by 12 is enough to leave plenty of green space and accommodate the bike rack.
There's no problem in that area using more space,
Just, you know, today, as long as they're,
as long as they're doing it.
Let Claude talk to the contractor and make the determination. He runs the grounds, right?
yeah.
So
as long as
just,
they're
let's
giving us
go
the
with
extra
line
couple
a lot,
feet.
line a lot 2 and 3. We're spending $2,550. That's our responsibility. If Claude determines he needs a bigger, smaller pad, that's Claude's determination.
Let Claude
Right.
determine.
Well, I'm sorry, if he determines that based on,
The price doesn't change.
right, and so on what is he guys?
He's the facilities manager. If he thinks it needs to be a little bigger, it needs to be a little bigger. Whether it's 10 by 12 or 10 by
Well,
15, doesn't make a difference.
I mean,
to our
the issue
spend.
is here,
We
the
know the
three,
answer to that.
the 3 feet is for the bike rack that was in front. Are we putting that back out or not? That's what we need to know.
Which one is that?
Which one
The
is?
bicycle one?
Well,
Yeah.
3 foot.
the yellow one that was in
The
front.
yellow one.
If we're 10 by 12,
See,
then we're not
she
putting
says
that back out.
terrible.
So we just want to make sure that we've got that clear, if that is going out or not.
Can we paint it green?
No,
Does the audience like that?
no.
Yes.
The audience
No.
doesn't like it.
No.
She's got a couple
You
of pieces
don't,
of
you
light.
don't even know what it's
The audience is
for.
split.
It's
Right.
intolerable, but you
It
don't.
is
And only
horrible.
one including the
You're
audience in
right.
this
It's
discussion.
horrible.
Yeah.
It was a gift, actually, we did not pay for it.
Right.
It was a very expensive gift, and it belongs to the library, and it
And
should be
patients
used
are
for the
asked about
library.
it.
But nobody knows it's for bikes.
So
So
patients
go.
may ask.
Pavement did ask,
Did ask several.
what happened to it when it was removed? We're just
Yeah.
pointing that out.
So we want a 10 by 12 pad, line a lot 2 and 3 for $2,550.
That's my motion.
That's the motion. There was a second, yes?
I withdrew my second. I think Claude should have the final say-so on the size.
I agree.
Well, with all due respect, I mean, if you're saying that, then you're saying Claude is deciding whether the yellow bike rack is going back out or not. I mean, that's the only thing that is affected by the size. So, I mean, we don't particularly care, we just want to know.
Well,
and
then
have
if
a-
you don't care,
Well, we do care.
Well,
It's out, it's your
you either
decision.
care or you don't care. What is it?
well, whether the yellow one goes back out or not, I mean, that's your call, we just need to know. I mean, I'm just confused by the fact that
No.
it's, the decision being left to Claude.
I'd like to
I-
move that we put the
Say
yellow bike rack back out.
And I vote
I
that
would
we,
like to make a motion that we move the yellow bike rack back out.
I'll second that motion.
So you're amending the motion?
No, there's no motion, there's no motion.
No, there wasn't.
There is now.
okay, now there is. Now it's an issue.
I have a motion in a second, put the yellow bike rack on.
Okay.
Okay, the motion was made by Mr. Hoffman, trustee Hoffman, and seconded by Mr. Goldstein, trustee Goldstein. Thank you.
Discussion?
Any discussions?
I have a discussion on that. I think that yellow is disgusting color. And I would vote for this if it were painted green or another earth color.
So now you have amended the
So
motion.
use it.
I'm pretty sure yellow was an earth color.
Pardon?
I thought yellow was an earth color, but I
It's a pretty bright yellow.
mean, it's an attention getter, it's a piece of sculpture that functions as a bike.
If you
rack.
have,
I mean, it's-
if you have the bike path going this way, and the bikes are put in this way, in this manner that it's supposed to be, and you have that monstrosity over here, where are they supposed to hook their bikes onto that bike rack where it would be functional and not get in the way of
Like
the
it-
strip of the bike
Why
rack?
don't we put the silver ones on the west and put the yellow one back out front where?
Because it's ugly and it
Yeah, it
doesn't
is.
match the character of of a colonial building. There's nothing that says,
Would you object if it was painted?
I object to it because it's ugly and it has nothing to do with Morton Grove Public Library.
So I don't even want to consider it, so I was not. As a board, we are charged with responsible management of taxpayer funds. And we're sitting here wasting time talking about whether it's a yellow, green, or pink bike rack that nobody even knew was a bike rack. You called it a piece of sculpture. If it's a piece of sculpture, it doesn't go next to a bike
It's a piece of
rack.
sculpture that functions as a bike rack. That's what it was made to do. It is.
I've never
and-
seen a
and
bike
Everyone
on the
that's seen
thing.
it, as far as I know, knew what it was.
I have never seen a bike, actually, I don't think Mr. Alpers thought it was bike rack when he saw it for
I
the first
never
time.
seen it.
The more patrons we can accommodate, the better off we are.
It
Yes.
doesn't accommodate any bikes.
It is.
I would like to ask a question to our co-directors, who probably have their finger on the pulse more than anyone else here. Comments over the past several months. Have there been comments regarding that piece of whatever it is, whether they're positive or negative, that people come up and say, I'm glad it's gone? Or do people come up to you, more people come up to you and say, where is that beautiful bike? Where do we stand on that?
Well, it was removed in the winter, so it wasn't being used at the time, so nobody would have said, I need a place. But a number of patrons did comment that it had disappeared.
Was it good that it had disappeared or bad that it had disappeared? Bad.
Questions were asked of reference staff, and I wasn't at the desk.
Because
but
people who would be happy about it would
Excuse
say
me, she's
anything.
speaking. Yes, Natalia.
I got reports that people were wondering where the bike rack went. We assured them it's here, when spring comes, there will be a decision to put it back maybe, we don't know. They say we hope it's coming back. We didn't hear comments about color, about sculpture, they just said, where is it? Is it coming back? But people wondered.
Well, we've driven a new bike rack on the side of the building. It looks like a bike rack.
The last we
Can you call the
had,
vote?
we can call for a vote.
Is they have to vote on it.
We can call for a vote. Okay, the motion is to put the bike rack back in, which would include the 10 by 15 pad. Okay,
So this is a 10, and who's determining the size of the pad? This is a board that's determining the size of the pad. Yes.
No, the motion was
the
whether or not
motion
you have
was
a
just
bike
to
rack.
put the bike rack. If the bike rack goes back, we need a 10 by 15 pad, which is covered. It's all on the bike. Okay. Trustee Berg? Yes. Trustee Calamack?
Yes.
Trustee Goldstein?
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Peters?
No.
Trustee Albers?
No.
The yellow bike goes back. Don't be surprised if I paint it green someday.
Done.
So our we to change it?
We are.
If you could, it'd be great.
Public comments on non-agenda items. If none, we're going to go into executive session. So can I have a motion to move into executive session?
I move to go into executive session.
I have a second.
Second.
You gotta state what for.
Thank you.
We'll be going to executive session for personnel matters to consider information regarding appointment, employment, or dismissal of an employee or officer. Seconded by Paul.
No, Kellerman and seconded by Goldstein. All in favor?
You need a voice vote.
Any
Just
voice
a voice
I mean,
vote.
you need a
We
roll
never
call.
You want a roll
finished
call?
voting on whether or not the hole's gonna be fixed. Did we? No.
You need a roll call vote.
Well, actually, I think trustee Peters is correct. There's no vote on that, and we need, the initial
You have no
was,
motion.
there was a motion made.
It wasn't seconded,
I was going to second
but
it,
you didn't.
and I withdrew it until we decided what was gonna be done, and I would like to, the motion in a sense read, do we approve the parking lot repair and the bike rack, numbers 2 and 3 on the Lina lot? And at this point, I would second trustee Peters' motion that we approve the Lina lot contract, at least.
You'd have to amend it because that wasn't my motion.
You need somebody to make a motion.
Okay,
There's no motion, that motion died, there was no second.
that
So you
motion
need to-
died.
You need a new motion.
But I'd like to make a motion to approve the Lina lot contract, sections in a sense 2 and 3.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussions? We'll need a vote.
Trustee Kelnick,
Yes.
trustee Goldstein,
Yes.
trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Peters,
Abstain.
trustee Elders,
Present.
trustee Berg, yes. Essentially, it passes 4-0.
So now, I need a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters.
That motion was already pending.
We have a
We're
second.
gonna take a vote.
Call the vote, Paul.
For executive session, trustee Elders,
Yes.
trustee Berg, yes. Trustee Kellerman,
Yes.
trustee Goldstein,
Yes.
trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Peters,
Abstain.
Okay, the motion carries.
motion carries 5-0.
Okay, the Morton Grove Public Library Board of Trustees is going back into session. It's 8:56 p.m. Do we need a roll call vote? No? Okay.
Back in session.
We're back in session. We are going to ask for a motion with regard to the appointment of the new director for the Morton Grove Public Library.
I make a motion that we choose candidate A for you to approach and confirm your representative.
All right, there's a motion from trustee Goldstein for
Second.
candidate A. Is there a second from trustee Hoffman? Are there any questions or concerns or discussions?
I would hope that the board would have been interested enough to meet both candidates before they make up their mind.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? If none, can I have a
to, for candidate A. Peters,
Present.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Goldstein,
Yes.
Kellemack,
Yes.
trustee Byrd, yes. Trustee Elbers,
I will vote present. So by a 4-2, that motion carries.
4-0.
Or 4-0.
4-0 to us.
Yes.
4-0-2.
Yes. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion by George.
Second? Second. No objections, we are out of here at 9 o'clock. Thank you.